Okay, think about your group chat right now, the one with your closest friends in it, the one that used to blow up every weekend with plans. Now think about the last time someone in it suggested something that didn't cost money. Can't remember one? That's not a coincidence. And it's not really about the group chat either. Maybe it's smaller than that even. Maybe it's just noticing you're the one who always suggests staying in now, or the one whose replies got shorter right around the same time your bank account did. Here's what you'd assume. Real friends don't care about money. If they like you broke or rich. No difference. Every sane person believes that. Almost none of them have actually tested it. Because the moment you actually go broke, something happens that nobody warns you about. It's not dramatic. Nobody says anything cruel. Nobody even really decides anything. The calls just get a little less frequent, and then a lot less frequent. And by the time you notice, you're already alone, wondering what you did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong, and by the end of this, you'll understand exactly what actually happened, because there's a real mechanism behind it, and it's a lot less personal than it feels. This is zero sum. Let's open the ledger. First, let's be honest about how it actually starts, because it's never one big moment. It starts with a dinner. Someone suggests a restaurant and you do the math in your head before you even answer, and you say you're just not that hungry. Then it's a trip. Everyone's going and you say work's just too busy right now. Then it's the small stuff, a round of drinks, a birthday gift that used to be easy and now needs actual thought. And here's the part that stings the most. Nobody's forcing you to say no. You're the one declining, which almost makes it worse because it means you can't even be mad at anyone. You're the one quietly editing yourself out of your own life. So you'd think, at this point, someone would notice and say something. A good friend should notice, right? Some do, most don't, and here's the uncomfortable truth about why. A 2026 survey from the Certified Financial Planner Board found that 67% of Americans had turned down a social event in just the past 2 years because of cost. Sit with that number for a second. That's not a small, embarrassed minority quietly struggling alone. That's 2 out of every 3 people you know at some point recently faking a headache or a busy week instead of admitting they couldn't afford brunch. Which means somewhere in your group chat, right now, more than one of you is doing exactly what you're doing, silently, at the same time, never telling each other. That's the first crack in the story you've been telling yourself. It's not that your friends specifically abandoned you. It's that almost everyone is quietly navigating the same unspoken rule, and nobody's talking about it, which makes each person feel uniquely broken instead of completely normal. But that's not the whole mechanism either. There's something deeper going on, and once you see it, the whole thing stops feeling like betrayal and starts feeling like physics. Here it is. Researchers who study what they call income-bridging friendships, meaning close friendships between people who don't earn the same amount, found something specific in how these friendships actually die. It's rarely a fight. It's rarely even a conversation. It's a quiet choice one side makes over and over between 2 options: hide the gap or explain it. Hiding the gap means the poorer friend keeps saying yes to things they can't afford, quietly going into debt to keep pace, smiling through a dinner bill that actually hurt. Think about the classic version of this: a destination bachelor or bachelorette party, flights, a rented house, matching outfits, one big dinner nobody actually wanted to split evenly but everybody did anyway. For the friend who's struggling, that single weekend can quietly cost more than a month of rent, and they'll go anyway because saying no feels like announcing something they're not ready to announce. Explaining the gap means admitting it out loud. I can't afford that. Can we do something cheaper? And researchers found both paths lead to the same place eventually. Hiding it burns you out financially and emotionally until you can't keep pretending anymore. Explaining it, even gently, quietly reminds your friend of the gap every single time, until the friendship starts to feel less like fun and more like a favor. Either way, the friendship erodes, not because anyone's a bad person, because the entire structure holding modern friendships together turns out to be quietly built on matching spending power, and almost nobody notices the foundation until it's the one thing missing. Read that back for a second. You didn't lose your friends because you weren't likable anymore. You lost access to the specific activities your friendship was actually built on top of. And it turns out, for a lot of adult friendships, that's most of what was holding the thing up in the first place. Okay, now here's the part that might actually make you feel better, because it's not just you doing the disappearing. The friend on the other side of this isn't usually thinking, I don't want them around anymore. A Bread financial study found money-related friction disrupts roughly 1 in 20 friendships, and the big chunk of that friction comes from something that looks nothing like malice. It's guilt. Your friend with more money often feels genuinely awkward suggesting the expensive dinner, worried it'll put you in a spot. So instead of inviting you and letting you decide, they just stop inviting you. It feels kinder in the moment. It is technically the opposite of kind because now you're not even getting the choice to say no yourself. So you've got two people, both quietly trying to protect the other person's feelings, both making the exact same call independently, and the result is two phones that just stop lighting up. Nobody's the villain in that story, and somehow that's almost sadder than if someone was. There's one more thing making all of this worse than it would have been 20 years ago, and it's sitting in your pocket right now. Every one of those friends who quietly stopped inviting you is still posting. The trip you couldn't afford still shows up in your feed in full color the next morning. You don't just lose the invitation, you get a highlight reel of the thing you missed, timestamped, filtered, and served to you automatically whether you wanted to see it or not. That's a genuinely new problem. Friendships have always drifted apart over money. What's new is that the drifting now comes with a live broadcast of exactly what you're missing, which turns quiet distance into something that feels a lot more like being watched from outside a window. And the isolation itself isn't the small side effect either. The U.S. Surgeon General issued a formal advisory warning that chronic loneliness carries health risks comparable to smoking close to a pack of cigarettes a day. This isn't just a sad feeling, it's a measurable physical cost, and it's landing hardest on exactly the people going through money trouble quietly, alone, assuming they're the only one. Here's the small dark joke buried inside all of this, if you can call it a joke. The people writing articles about how to save your friendships across an income gap all suggest the same fix. Stop meeting up over restaurants and trips. Go for a walk instead. Cook a meal together. Have a game night. Which is genuinely good advice. It's also, if you think about it for 2 seconds, an admission that the entire previous version of the friendship was basically a subscription service, and once you couldn't afford the subscription, someone had to invent an entirely new free tier just to keep you as a customer. Here's the part worth actually using though, not just laughing at. The friendships that survive an income gap, according to the same research, are almost always the ones where somebody said the uncomfortable sentence out loud. Not, I'm too busy. The real one. I actually can't afford that right now, but I'd love to just hang out instead. It's a small sentence, it costs nothing to say, and it's apparently the single biggest thing separating the friendships that quietly die from the ones that don't. So if you're the one who's been declining lately, that sentence is worth more than another polite excuse. And if you're the one who's noticed a friend go quiet, the fix might not be a bigger invitation. It might just be a cheaper one. So here's the actual ledger. And it's a little different from the ones we usually open on this channel, because there's no company profiting off this one. Nobody's getting rich off your isolation. On one side, you, quietly opting out of dinners and trips, one decline at a time, feeling like the friendship is dying because of something wrong with you specifically. On the other side, the people who care about you quietly opting out of invitations, feeling awkward and guilty, assuming they're being considerate. Both of you protecting the other person from an honest conversation neither of you is having, and the friendship, caught in the middle, slowly starving from 100 small, well-intentioned silences. That's the whole mechanism. Not cruelty, not betrayal, just an unspoken rule almost nobody's ever told out loud, quietly deciding who gets to stay close to you and who drifts. And here's the twist worth sitting with, the same way we always end things here. Before you ever lost a single friend, before a single invite ever got declined, before you even noticed your phone had gone quiet, the rule was already running in the background, deciding this for millions of people at once, and not one of them had agreed to it out loud. You just thought it was only happening to you.